Long ago, in a quiet village surrounded by forests, there lived a young woman named Adora. She was shunned by everyone because of her twisted face and strange eyes. Nobody wanted to marry her, so she grew bitter and cursed love. And one day she died, and her body was buried on the edge of the village. But her spirit never rested. You see, she had a twin sister named Adora, who was the village's most beautiful woman. And Adora loved Adora dearly. Every night she would sneak out of her house and visit Adora's grave. One night, while digging up the grave, she found a bottle with a strange liquid inside. And when Adora brought the bottle home, she discovered it was full of her sister's tears. Adora's spirit appeared before her and said, "I cursed love. Now you must choose between us." And Adora chose her sister. And that's when Adora's curse took her life. It came at night. They heard whispers near Adora's grave. At first, they thought it was just the wind, but then the whispers grew louder. And one by one, the villagers began to see shadows moving in the trees. One night, a farmer woke up to the sound of his livestock crying out. He rushed to the barn and found his cows and pigs drained of blood. The villagers were terrified. They barricaded themselves inside their homes, but the terror didn't end there. As darkness fell, children cried out that someone with sharp nails was trying to pull them into the woods. The villagers cowered in their beds, listening to the scratching and the whispers, wondering who or what was out there in the darkness. And as the night wore on, the fear only grew. This is the story of a village that was haunted by the devil himself. This bride's body was found carved up with the words, "Love is forbidden." One stormy night, a young bride named Ifema vanished from her bed. Her husband, Chima, woke up in the middle of the night to find her missing. He searched for her all night, but by morning, her body was found near Adora's grave. Adora being Chima's late wife and the mother of his child. The police found her face carved into the skin of the bride's body with the words, "Love is forbidden." Ifema and Chima's families had arranged their marriage 3 years ago. And despite the fact that he was already married with a son, Chima had been having a secret affair with Ife, a married woman with a daughter. They decided to run away together, but it seems that someone was waiting for them in the forest who could have done this to them. And why? The villagers gathered in fear. They saw a shadowy woman moving through the trees at night. Her face was pale and her eyes were glowing like fireflies. Those who stared too long claimed they saw her true form. She was an ugly, decayed face full of hatred. The villagers had heard stories about her from people who lived on the outskirts of their town. She was a recluse who had lost her mind after her son had drowned in the river. Now she wandered the banks every night, searching for the one who had taken him. Some said she was just a figment of the townspeople's imagination, a product of their fear and grief. But others claimed that she was real, that she had been driven mad by the loss of her son, and that she would stop at nothing to find his killer. The truth is, no one knows what's scarier, the woman in the woods or the darkness that's inside all of us. This village is cursed. I don't know who did this or how they did it, but every single newly married couple in this village has vanished without a trace. Every morning, I would wake up to find strange red stains on the doors of their homes. At first, it was just one couple, then another, and then another. It was always the same pattern. Whoever's door had the mark would vanish by nightfall. Fear quickly spread through the village. People stopped marrying, and the joy of love slowly turned into silence and dread. No one dared to open their doors. No one dared to knock on their neighbors' doors. The entire village was consumed by fear, and then one day, the red stain appeared on my door. I knew that if I didn't do something, I would be next. So I did the one thing that no one else had done. I opened the door and stepped outside, and that's when I saw them. What do you do when your village is haunted by a witch? You burn her grave, of course. That's what the villagers did. They poured oil over Adora's grave and set it on fire. And then they all stood around and prayed, "Please, God, help us." But as the flames rose higher and higher, a horrific shriek erupted from the grave. The earth shook and cracked, and the villagers scattered in terror. They ran and hid in their homes, in the forest, anywhere to escape the wrath of the witch. That night, 5 of the villagers were found dead, their hearts ripped out and left on the doorstep of the house where Adora had lived. The villagers had killed her, but they hadn't stopped her from coming back for revenge. And so the legend of Adora, the witch, continued. No one slept. All night long, the witch's screams echoed through the streets. People huddled in their homes, too afraid to venture out, but the witch wasn't afraid. She walked openly in the streets now, dragging her long nails against the doors. The sound of shattering glass mingled with her laughter as she disappeared into the dark. Some swore they saw her shadow, a fleeting glimpse of a woman with a face like a skull and eyes that burned with an unholy light. Others heard her whispering their names before she vanished. And those who were lucky enough to escape her notice slept with one eye open, praying that the nightmares would end when the sun rose. But the nightmares didn't end. They spread. For the witch had cast a spell over the town, and no one was safe. Not the baker with his bread still warm from the oven, not the cobbler mending his shoes, not even the children playing in the square. The witch was coming for them all. What happens when you piss off the world's most powerful woman? One couple, determined to defy her, held a secret wedding. They invited 5 friends to witness their union. But as they exchanged their vows, something strange happened. The lamps in the room suddenly went out. The bride gasped as she felt herself being lifted into the air by what felt like a giant set of claws. She struggled against the unseen force, but it was no use. She was too weak. As the guests panicked and tried to find the source of the disturbance, the bride was taken through a secret passageway and then dropped into a dark hole. When the lights came back on, she was gone, and the only thing that remained of her was a single red shoe on the floor. The world's most powerful woman had taken her revenge, and no one was ever able to escape her clutches again. The villagers finally learned her curse. For years, they'd heard her screaming in the forest, but they never went in to check. They were too afraid. All they knew was that she was a witch and she was theirs. Before she died, she made sure they knew just how powerful she was. As the years went by, her power only grew. Every generation. On the night of the full moon, she would leave the forest and find the nearest newly married couple. She would then proceed to steal their love, their joy, their happiness, their everything. And as she grew stronger, the curse spread to the rest of the village. Soon, everyone was afraid of what would happen if she chose to take their loved ones away from them. And so the entire village lived in fear of the witch in the forest, even though they had never seen her before, never seen her at all. Many years passed, yet Adora's spirit still haunts the village. No one dares to marry. For her shadow watches, waiting, her laughter is heard in the midnight wind, reminding everyone that her curse will never die. And if you ever wander near that village, beware, for you may hear her whisper your name. This is the end of the series, but her curse lives on. Every full moon, the villagers prepare for her arrival. They build a fire in the center of the village and sacrifice a goat to appease her. But Adora is not satisfied. She demands a human sacrifice, and no one is safe from her wrath. One by one, the villagers are taken away by the spirit, and those who survived the encounter tell stories of her wrath, hoping that their warnings will be heeded. But as the centuries pass, the memory of Adora fades, and the new villagers move in, unaware of the danger that awaits them. This is the end of the series, but her curse lives on. If you have not subscribed to this channel, follow for more videos like this.